I'm having to do something that I normally don't like to do, and this is a bit of a disclaimer and a spoiler for this review going forward, because the problem is what Sega and Amplitude have done here, they've released Endless Space 2 far too early. I'm reviewing this 11 days after its final release date, and the game is just not ready for release. It's got too many bugs in it, too many final hangs, which just cause too many issues that you go forward with. If you liked Endless Space 1, you're going to love Endless Space 2. It's a good 4X game, but at the moment I would say you're going to have to wait until at least end of June, somewhere in July. They need to get a few massive patches in to sort out some of these issues. But let's get into the review. Endless Space 2, like most 4X games, give you a nice selection of different races with different special powers you can use. And it's quite a good offering, and with expansions there's obviously going to be more into this. But the main thing of what I loved about Endless Space 1, and they've made it even better in Endless Space 2, is the race customization. And it's so good that you can choose your different special powers. So effectively, when you choose your different races, this is choosing which one of those races' special power that you love the most. You then have your visual affinity, and this decides some of the races have special technologies and their ships do different things. So you can actually then start customizing, okay, I like the special power for X race, but I like the ships and the technologies on this other race. It's just a nice start as you go through. You even then choose your starting planet and what special abilities you're going to have there, your government type, your political ideology, what each of your people, sort of your actual race, actually give you in bonuses, and then the massive pluses and minuses that you can really fiddle around with to properly customize your race as you go forward. Adding minuses so you can have better pluses. It adds so much customization and so much replayability. You will go through, and the first time you will play this, you'll play around with this, and you will edit this nearly every time you go through. It's so good, and they've just done such a good job of this. If you've played Endless Space 1, this will all look very familiar to you, although it does look sort of a little bit nicer, a little bit sweeter with the graphics and things like that. But it's a lane-based system, and I always have a bit of an issue with lane-based systems. It takes away a lot of the tactics. You have sort of you get choke points and you defend them rather than having sort of battle lines and sort of intercepting fleets. So that's a bit of a disappointment, but it's what Endless Space 1 had, and it was always going to be what they're going to have in Endless Space 2 as well. One of the things I like is the fact that they keep the mechanics quite simple and the micromanagement quite low in Endless Space. So you can hover over a planet and you can see the output that it's given you, and it gives you a little total. This is what this planet has given me, and then you can also look on the system as well what it's given you. And it's a standard 4X affair: food, industry, money, science. You've got influence in this one as well. And it's quite easy. You can sort of shift people around on planets, so then you can start seeing what different output you're going to get. If I shift this guy over here, or is my science going to go up, but my production is going to go down. It's just, they keep it nice and simple. And similar with actually doing the buildings on the systems, it's quite nice. You can just queue up what you want. I want this, this, this. And you can almost just do this in order, and you know, okay, I'm going to get my production stuff first, and then my food, and then I'm going to get science, whatever it is. And you can just hop onto each of your different planets and you can do that. It reduces that micromanagement. It makes it nice and easy, nice and fluid, and then in which case you can then start focusing more on the tech tree or moving stuff around, or the little bit of micromanagement bits that you do want to focus on, with your heroes and things like that. So pretty standard for a 4X game, but it's polished and they've done it really well. Some new and different elements that they brought into Endless Space 2. You've got strategic resources, which at first I really didn't like. You have to go out and find them, and if you end up with loads of planets or systems which then don't have those resources, it can get really annoying. But they've made it enough with the tech tree that you can sort of do different things, and there's a marketplace, which I'll sort of go into a bit more later on, that you can buy and trade and things. So it's not as bad as it seems. One thing I do quite like is the fact that they've got this political system. So you have people and they have their different ideologies, and as you go through and do things, events will come up. So maybe more people will become militarist, or if you start doing lots of military researches and building lots of ships, you can start getting more people into that side. So you can see most of my population are scientists at the moment. And then you have laws that you can pass, and these are quite cool, and these actually make big changes to the game. You can do things, 20% extra food, so you're going to get people quicker. And you can see down the bottom left, it costs me 3 of those purple stars. That's influence, which is another resource that we go through, which is used for trading and things like that as well. And some of these things make a big difference. Adding 20% to science research on all of my systems at the cost of 10% of my money production, that's a big bonus. And it actually makes you sit there and go, actually, I want to try and get more industrial people. I want to try and promote them into my population so that I can actually then start getting more of the, if we look at this one, I've got plus 10% production on certain systems and things. These are big bonuses that you want. And it's a nice thing. And this is what Amplitude often do well. They bring in interesting mechanics which add different elements and different play styles and keep it fresh, that you want to keep trying different things, but in a way that isn't ridiculously overdone and you have to micromanage it. And it's really well done what they've done with this political ideology system. Another great improvement that they've done with Ender Space 2 is at the start of the game with exploring the universe, and you have sort of ships which then go and do this exploring, and they have probe stockpiles. So they can be used in 2 different ways. One, you can fire them off to go sort of research and see what's in the fog of war. And that's quite cool because you can see little systems here which aren't on star lanes. They're sort of separate nodes, I think they're called. So what you do, you send out your probes and then you can find them, and they could be a system with really good planets on and things like that. So it really makes you want to try and actually get around to sort of the edge of the systems, send out your probes and try and see if you can find that special advantage. So it's not just, oh, I've go through this star lane to this star lane. You actually want to try and find these nodes to try and get that extra advantage you can find. Also, these systems, you can see these are sort of flashing lights here. This is the fact that you then actually have curiosities on these systems that you go through. And that means that you can actually research and find different things. So we can send down a little probe and it will come back and go, oh, you found whatever it is. You found extra nodes around. Or it will come up and say, oh, you've unlocked this building. And it's quite nice. It makes you want to keep going around and researching and seeing what's going to happen, and you want to just keep on flying around and sending your ships around, and you want to actually get into your opponent's systems. Like I can see my opponent here, he's got curiosities here on this planet that he hasn't researched, and yes, some of them it might be, okay, it's a resource that he can now mine, or it might research a piece of technology, an advanced piece of technology which is going to help me, so I want to get there before him. It adds a really nice element that you want to just, here I actually still want to send probes out because there might be a system here which is really good. It adds a really good element to the game that you actually want to explore and find these curiosities. Another thing I really like about Ender Space 2 is the fact that you have this spaceport. Basically, you can level up your where is it here? You can sort of level up your system with different things and you get extra bonuses, but then it also gives you this spaceport, and you can choose a system that you actually want to export. Sort of, if you've got extra food that your people don't have, you level up as you have food, your then population grows, but sometimes you're going to have an excess amount and it will be shipped off to this other system to help it grow. But also you can then put, I'm not sure if I got the space, yeah, here you go. So I can now export population. So when you start getting your systems where they have maximum population, you can actually sit there and go, well, actually, I'm going to ship off 3 people to this other system I've only just colonized. It's really nice. I really like it. And say I colonized the system over here and the computer had a blockade here, he could then start blowing up my population. So it then makes me sit there and go, I want to try and get over there and stop that fleet, or I want to try and protect my star lanes. It's not... It's because it's still the star lanes, you still don't have that, oh, I must protect this star lane and the computer's jumped over here to make it so my convoys aren't going through. It doesn't really work that way. You just, every now and then you sit and go, oh, computer's got a fleet there, I'll go blow it up, which is a little bit disappointing. I would have liked to have a bit more into it. But again, this is the nice thing of making it so it's simpler to just sit there and go, oh, I'll stack all of this. Is cool. It makes it so your systems are a lot easier to manage that way. But then it's then rewarding that you can sit there and go, I don't mind the extra micromanagement of, okay, how many, this system needs more people, I'll send people to that system. It's really nice what they've done. The research tree is quite cool. You've got different quadrants, similar to End of Space 1, that you had the different quadrants and you go through. If you ever watched any of my early access ones, the original way they did the tech tree was just awful. You had to unlock entire eras before you could get to the next sort of thing of what you could research. They've kept a similar thing here. You need to do you can see these lines. You need to do a few researches in each of these before you can unlock the next one. But you can, if you want to, just go right to the end of economy and trade before you even go into any of the other quadrants. So it's quite cool what they've done. There's a few options of you choose which side you want to go. So it's if you want this, you lose that. So it gives you a few choices, which mixes it up. And it does make it so obviously you have to unlock this resource before you can get this amazing building or whatever it is. It's just a nice way. It's not the most amazing best tech tree I've ever seen, but it does make it so you're chopping and changing as events happen in your star system. People go to war, things happen, you find systems and you go, actually I really need to colonize these planets, or I need to get rid of these certain anomalies or whatever it is. You then chop and change what you want to do in the tech tree, which is a good thing about 4X games. You should be adapting to what goes on as you go through. Ship design has been vastly improved with a slot-based system and different upgrades that you can put in there. Some of these, it gives you, either you want a special bonus either for the ship or potentially for your fleet, or you can put like defensive items in. As you can see here, it's either or, and then you have slots that you can put weapons in and things like that. It's so much better than what they did before, where it just turned into a rock, paper, scissors. And I don't like a weight system where you sit there and go, oh, here's 20 weights worth of defenses. This is really nice. It adds a little bit of customization. It's not perfect. If you've ever played Stellaris, I really like the ship design that they have in here in Stellaris, but it's a vast improvement in what they've got in here. It also, before in End of Space 1, once you unlock the best Dreadnought ship, there was no point of building other stuff. Here you have different classes of ship, which actually then do different things. So you actually need to get, like you can see down the bottom left, that's an exploration ship, that's a hunter ship, and you get, if I'd unlocked it, you get coordinator ships as well. So actually they do different things and have different roles, and certain sort of special elements, things which increase the power of your entire fleet, can't be put on attack ships. It has to be put on coordinator ships. So they've done a much better job here. It's not perfect. I think there's definitely room for improvement, but they've done a good job. When it comes to combat, the rock paper element of End of Space 1 has gone, which is really good, and they've turned it into, you have these battle tactics. So, and it seems like it feels like they need to do more with this to actually make it worthwhile. It seems to just automate it each time. But you choose a sort of a tactic that you do, and you would see extra power to shields or extra armor, and you unlock more of these, you can get more critical hit chance and stuff. And you can choose which way your people are going to be deployed, but it doesn't really seem to make any difference to me of what goes on. And then you do the battle again, like in the Space One. You can't control it, it's all done here, and then you just get a nice little visual of what goes on. It's one of those things that, I don't know, it's better than before, where you had to sort of micromanage something which just didn't really feel like it was actually going to do anything. But I don't know, it's just one of those things. I feel like they need to do either more with it or less with it. I don't know, it just doesn't really seem to work too much for me. But the point, I always feel the point of End of Space is the fact that it's more the 4X actually sort of mastering what you're trying to do. The combat is just a final end to your empire management. I've covered a lot of the elements that I really like about End of Space and make me want to go back to it. Now I'm going to bring in some of the things that I really don't like and that I really feel need to be improved. And that is the fact you've got this marketplace and you unlock it from doing researches that you get. And it's just, I just really don't like it. It's one of these things that you get your luxury resources, and if you want to spend the time to micromanage and sell your stuff and try and buy things, but you're going to be doing it each turn, and it's just another element I just really don't like of trying to go through. And the amount of times I forget, and you've got a maximum stockpile on a lot of these things. So if you don't realise you've got to the maximum stockpile, then you're just wasting it and you should have sold it. And I don't know, I just really don't like the marketplace. I really wish there was an automated thing of just sitting there and going, okay, if this blue cap mould, if it goes above 500, sell it whenever I get it, but don't sell it for less than 4 gold or whatever it is. And the same with like luxury resources. I like to sit there and go, okay, like I want this gossamer or whatever it is, there's only 4 in here, but rather than me checking it each turn, I'd like to assign someone, okay, every turn buy it, but if the price goes above 99, notify me or something. I don't want to manually, you know, I've got all of this, I've got the research, I'm moving ships, I've got technologies, I'm editing and customizing ships. I don't want to be going into a marketplace and going, ooh, this has gone up, I'll sell this, and all this value is 8 now, but it was 4, so I'll sell now. You know, it's just annoying. Just if you want the marketplace, automate it somehow, especially with strategics and luxuries that you want, because you have things, the luxury resources, because you level up your systems, and these make a big difference. You choose what luxury resource go into these systems, and then you build this on your different systems as you go, and they make big difference. +4 science per person on planets, +4 production per person. So I want those, but I can see I'm not getting enough of this Jadonix each turn. So I might want to go into the marketplace and trade. I need it, kind of thing. But it's one of those things I don't want to manually do it. Assign something that will do it for me is what I want. And that's another one of the things you get. You level up trade routes and stuff, and you actually go on your planets and you sit and go, okay, this planet build me a trade company, and I have subsidiaries around, and you can do things, which is quite cool. And you assign extra ships, and then you can see you actually get different resources coming in here. It's quite cool. I think it's a little bit unbalanced at the moment. You end up just getting massive resources from it and stuff. It's not a bad idea. I think I prefer the idea of this trade route system and losing the marketplace, but I just feel it needs to be a little bit of editing as it goes through. Diplomacy is another thing. In its current form, it's just like most of the other 4X games. It just doesn't really work. You have your influence, so you can spend influence to do things, but again, it's just really unbalanced. You want to do something, and the computer wants your entire empire for something. I don't know. In Galactic Civilizations 3, they had a really simple thing of whether you're getting pluses or minuses each turn against someone, and then you could start seeing, okay, they're not happy, they're going to go to war with me. I don't know, the diplomacy just doesn't really work in Endless Space 2. They really need to do something, because at the moment, I just ignore it, basically. It's just, you sit there and go, okay, that computer's obviously going to go to war with me, and it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't really do much. You have little minor races that you can basically spend influence, and then you can try and assist them, and it sends a little quest out, or you can just try and spend influence to actually assimilate them, which is kind of cool, but I don't know, it's not groundbreaking, it's nothing amazing. The game also provides quests that you can do, and you've got a little quest thing so you can see, and it's like, hey, what is it I want to focus on, and it will, you know, give you different things. So if I get here, I can do that. Some of them are quite cool, and you've got Empire specific ones, so it's go blow up this, you know, an enemy fleet has randomly appeared, or you need to colonize this and get a certain amount of food or something. And then you have entire empire-wide ones, so it will come up and say, whoever gets this first is going to get a big bonus, so you can try and compete with people. It's quite a nice touch. Sometimes it's a bit annoying that it comes up and it's like, oh, you have to destroy a fleet which is over here or something, and you go, well, that's never going to happen, I'm not going to get over there. But it's still a nice touch. I like it in there. Sometimes it does feel like you're just stacking all of these quests, but it's a good touch to the game. So some final thoughts and conclusions about Endless Space, and that is the fact that it's a good game. It's got good elements. You know, Endless Space 1 was ahead of its time, but it had massive flaws. The end game, ship design, actually just having like a fun element to it. And that's one of the things, Endless Space always appealed to me, sort of the analytical side. I'm trying to get the best bonuses I can get. I'm getting the best production from here. I'm getting the best things that I can possibly get. But actually, it wasn't that fun when it got to the end game. And that's one of the things they really needed to fix in Endless Space 2. And unfortunately, they just haven't really. They've made it a little bit better. The ground combat is a bit easier to understand, and you go down and you have a little battle and stuff, and you can sort of destroy planets, and you can get systems and raise them and things. They've made it a little bit easier, but actually it's just not that fun. And I think this is one of the things that this is almost Endless Space 1 had it, and Endless Space 2 is a little bit improved. But it's almost like you've got to the end of an Excel spreadsheet and you've gone, oh, I've got all my formulas working, that's brilliant. But that's not fun, you know, that only appeals to a certain amount of people. And I think Endless Space 2 still has that, and I don't know what they needed to do, but you kind of just get to a point where you go, yes, I've got this technology, and now I'm maximising the science that I'm gaining, and I'm maximising this, but oh, I've got the best things on my ships, and oh, I'll destroy the fleet here, and I'll destroy the fleet here, and I'll take this system, but it's just not that fun. You sort of enjoy the ride as you go along of trying to improve all of your systems and, you know, unlocking better things, and you sit there and go, okay, I've really customized my fleet here of what I want to do and things like that. But you just get to the point where you just sit there and go, I don't know, I'm not really sure I've enjoyed it that much. So that's definitely a big flaw that it has, and I don't know if a big part of that is the lane-based system, where it just takes a lot of the strategy away from the game. But Endless Space, it's a massive improvement in Endless Space 1, but I feel it needed to go further. And also, as I said in my disclaimer at the start of the game, it's been released too early. There's too many things. In this game that I'm playing right now, I've unlocked the research so that I can mine antimatter, but it says you're missing the technology. So this game, I have to buy or trade antimatter because it just hasn't sorted it out. There's things where you start building things and it just gets stuck in the queue. You know, there's a few like end game hangs where you just go in and you just can't continue the game anymore. It's got balancing issues. I mean, I sunk a lot of time into Endless Space 1. I play a hell of a lot of 4X games. I picked up Endless Space 2 and I went straight onto the second hardest difficulty in my first game, and it was no competition at all. I'm playing on the hardest difficulty and I haven't even, it's nothing. It's as if I'm playing on easy. So they need to do something with the AI. The game, like I said, I think you've got to wait until end of June 2017, middle of July, end of July, maybe August. Keep an eye on it and see if they do these patches. Already after 3 or 4 days, they had a massive patch to try and fix a load of issues and then caused a load more issues. Unfortunately, they've gone that whole way of they've released it too early. But it's definitely a game that is worth picking up. If you like 4X games, it's definitely worth picking up. And I can see in 4 or 5 months' time a load of the bugs being ironed out, and I can see in 10 months, a year's time, they're releasing an expansion which will hopefully sort out a lot of the issues that I have with it, marketplace and a bit of the end game. But at the moment, I just feel that they've fired it out too early. But, you know, that being said, I really like it. I'm going to carry on playing it, and I'm enjoying it. So, what more can I say? I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you survived to the end, well done. On the screen right now are some other videos that you might find useful and like to look at. I've also put a subscribe button in there, so if you want to see more videos like this in the future, feel free to click that. Thanks for watching.